Yo, JD here, Tyrolimus. Hopefully you can hear me. If you can, spam the chat as usual. And yeah, just let me know how the volume is. If my mic is too loud or the game's too loud, vice versa. Just let me know.
That timing glitch sorted itself out, and Moreno did actually finish P2, despite that quite sad reaction, wouldn't you say? Indeed. So here we go then.
Yo. Thanks for everyone tuning in as well.
From Silverstone.
I'm keeping very well, thank you very much.
And that expression in that picture was pretty similar to what he did when he crossed the line as well. He's,
yeah, just let me know if the audio is all good. I can always adjust if needs be.
Nicholas Longay scoring some good points for Alpine. Jarno Opmeer only managing 9th place, which allowed Lucas Blakely to claw back that
funny
deficit
guy
that he had to the championship leader.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, wasn't it after Silverstone? Wasn't Blakely leading the championship?
He would have if he'd finished second,
right?
Because he was then demoted back.
Yeah, it's a big water bottle, isn't it? I can turn my mic a little bit if you want.
Yeah, no. I think this is his strongest start.
There's my mic
season,
up a little bit more. I'll put down the game volume just a tiny bit.
Joshua Doe,
is that better?
I mentioned yesterday as well.
Yeah, it's just as loud as this mic can go, unfortunately. But
5 seconds off the win.
Yeah, just let me know.
Yeah, pretty great.
That's just F1 Esports for you, isn't it? Van Erven quite close as well to the points in P12. I feel like that's going to finally happen for Van Erven, who seems to be the quickest in that team.
I'll turn down the game
what
volume
else
just a tiny
Richard
bit.
Denoso. Again, like he just seems to have that moment where has an incredible
Right.
qualifying and then is in the
Can you
race.
hear me fine? You can hear me
Next
just
race we'll
about
take a
though,
look
can't you?
at, but
You should be able to.
Another race, he'll be out in Q1 and nowhere.
Weird, like no consistency is there, but like as you say, quickest out of nowhere. The next session he's down in 15th, whatever. Seems to do enough to keep the seat for the next season. You know what I mean? But if you can sort the consistency out, I mean, it's easy to say
Better.
done.
Nice.
Right up there every race. You know, he's got the pace.
Yeah, this stream.
Indeed,
Well, I
please
probably
search
will
for that.
talk, but
Let's
I
take a
try
look
not
at
to talk
highlights.
all the time.
What
I'm just
happened
gonna just
in
chill
a
out, just watch it.
crazy race at the
But yeah,
top of
yesterday
speed.
was
Jarno Opmeer was on pole position, and this is
pretty
something we need
exciting.
to maybe discuss a
I
little
think
bit.
Silverstone was
Strategy.
I think both races are really
Loves
good
going on an
yesterday.
alternate, you know,
I think for pole today, I
long into the race
think
on the mediums, just doing
Rasmussen will
something a
get
bit
pole
different. I personally
for
felt
Spa.
like he
I
maybe
think.
went a little bit too different for no
I'm
reason,
not sure
you
who
know,
else,
being
but
at
I
the
think he'll
front of
get
the field.
pole.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I think if he boxed even the lap after Marcel, he probably would have won the race.
But yeah, in the
I
championship,
don't
there's
think
only
he had the
4
worst
points
strategy
difference
because
between
he was
Jarno
starting
and
with
Lucas,
the
which
soft. It
is
was a really heroic first
kind of
stint. It looked great
yeah
for the
weird. I
race.
think Lucas, he's just been he
Spectators,
has
but at the
one
same time,
race win, but he's just been very
and that's why he
consistent
finished
as real.
Yeah,
Resify,
but
thank you for
why
the
do you
donation,
think he
bro.
went for
Thank you
that
very much.
strategy? How would he
Yeah,
have
Lucas
made
has
that
just
work?
been very consistent at the moment.
He got past
But Jarno
cars quicker
seems
than
to have
they
like
can, but
one
it's just not gonna happen.
shakyish race and then just does a really good race afterwards. Like Monza, I didn't think that strategy was going to work. I thought that was going to backfire really badly, but
Still a good race, but
yeah,
could have been,
he
I think, better.
did an amazing job there.
Absolutely. So that was when Burman and
I'll do a watch along tonight as well. If people want to see it, I'll do a watch along as well. Because I will be watching it, so just let me know.
Going to have to do a hell of a lot of overtaking.
He is, yeah, and we were almost expecting him to go.
Yeah, I thought Jarno's strategy at Monza, I thought that was going to be. He came out in a very bad position, but I think because it's him, he's able to do it. I don't think other people would have maybe been able to get through the field like he did, but yeah, I think maybe still pitting a little bit earlier, he could have maybe even won the race, I think, potentially. Or maybe not going super long. I understand why he did, because he was going to get undercutted anyway. And I know from being with him in the past that if you go get undercutted, you might as well just have 2 or 3 lap pressure tyres. Monza is very, very powerful around there. ETA Rusty, I'm doing good, man. How you doing? But yeah, yeah, if it wasn't for him, I still would have pitted maybe a bit earlier. I think he could have had the race win. Bari, no, it was great him starting on the softs, but the softs at Monza are the tyre you want to be on for the longest. So yeah, they're just so powerful at the end. It's like literally 8 tenths, maybe even more than 8 tenths a lap between fresh softs and older mediums. So, but yeah. Yeah, he should have maybe just covered Marcel. I think he maybe should have got track position. That would have forced them to pit as well, and then he's really good at deciding when to push, so maybe do it that way. But No, that could have been very bad for Mercedes. Luckily, they did it in the end with Mercedes, but Red Bull could have had a 1-2 there. Rasmussen very, very unlucky yesterday. Extremely unlucky. And they're not even that far behind in the championship either. In the constructors, they're only 20-odd points behind, which can change in one race. So, yeah, a bit fortunate there, but still good for Mercedes.
And yeah, quite the ending to the race.
Yeah, gate volume's a little bit low. I'll turn it up for when the racing actually starts.
But then for Danny Moreno to pick up that post-race penalty, kind of maybe soften the blow a little bit for Red Bull.
I will be playing on PlayStation soon, yeah. Relatively soon. I'll turn it up a little bit. There you go.
Yeah, no, I mean, they're not going to be happy with that, are they? And
yeah, but Marcel did everything right yesterday. As I said, Rasmussen very, very unlucky. He should have had P3, I think, or maybe P4 potentially. So, a bit unlucky with him.
But yeah, Marcel Kiefer taking the win, which was really good for him.
Yeah, what a race.
Cheers from Norway, awesome.
We've seen a lot, you know,
but yeah, the Drivers' Championship's only 4 points difference. Not a big difference at all. And I think Jarno, I think he is probably the most complete driver. I think everyone will probably agree with that. But I think one of his Achilles, although he got pole in Monza, I think his Achilles heel was probably at tracks where he isn't a fan of. Qualifying can suffer, like Silverstone, for example. I think if he can qualify in the top 5 or 6 every time, I think he'll comfortably win the championship. But if someone like Blakey's been very consistent, getting the top 4 or 5s, I think, I said it before, if you get that top 5 every race, then you're in a damn good chance of winning the Drivers' Championship.
That 3-second time penalty. Look at that in the background.
Been a huge fan of Marcel since the 2019 Brazil video, didn't he? Yeah, yeah, Marcel, I think he's just had to work very, very hard. I think he's got such a good attitude when he races. He's grinded a ton. And yeah, people were saying that he didn't have a good start. I think he... Well, I don't know where he came at China. I think he had P2 in the first round. So I think the pace is there. He just needs to put it all together.
Nick, you're a racing driver. You love that sort of stuff.
I think the curb there in real life, I think, is more
GS,
aggressive.
GD, how are you? I'm doing good, man. It's very hot here. Even though I've got a fan on me, it's and the window's open. It's still... This heat just doesn't go away. But yeah, most of the time I'll probably just chill and watch this and then talk if something exciting happens. Yep, that's James Baldwin.
Yeah, and it happens.
It is indeed.
The race as well. There wasn't much opportunity for the stewards to then get on the phone, and you know, it clearly was very much touch and go, wasn't it? But
his argument will be, you know.
But I think Danny Moreno, he actually had a post-race penalty after Monza for overtaking off track apparently as well.
Second time penalty in real life Formula 1 will lose you none or maybe 1 position, and he went from 2nd down to 7th. That's just very painful, and probably now that he looks at it goes, probably shouldn't have gone for that move. Well, let's take a look at the driver's standings before we go to your point, James, and let's see how much Moreno did lose. Well, he's down in 6th place with 39 points, but he very much would have been around Kiefer Burremand had it not been for that.
Yeah, only 4 points.
He is 4 points clear.
Yeah, Rasmussen 30 points behind. 32 for Burremand. It's doable. It's doable for the top 5 for the championship, I think. I think Moreno, unless he has some really starts picking up some wins, then maybe him. But yeah, it's gonna be you need to be relatively close, even at this stage, I think.
Yeah, he's been struggling in the past. He's very, very hard on himself.
The race tonight is at well, I think the show starts at 7:30, I think. I'm not sure. I'll have to check.
Yeah, I think he's pretty much unstoppable, and I think he's done very well to start off his first 2 events.
Yeah, 7:30.
The fashion that he has, and hopefully, you know, for me, it'd be nice to see him take the fight to Jarno.
Absolutely. Let's take a look at the team.
Yeah, I think Rasmussen can definitely still win the championship. He seems to be, like someone said yesterday, he seems to be a little bit have a awkward first events normally, but then he just gets on a roll. And I think Red Bull have a great chance of still winning this. You can see, look there, it's 19 points. Yeah, and that's nothing. That can change in the race completely. And I think Haddad's been quite unlucky as well, because I think Aston Martin can definitely still do something. Alpine, I think both of them they've all got the talent for sure, but I think they just, if they improve their consistency, that's all they need to do.
They're all looking quite strong, and they could pick up victories.
Don't know why. I think Reina got a penalty in Monza for overtaking off track. I think
that's not very flattering for them. I think their driver lineup's one of the best out there.
Yeah.
Anyone McLaren onwards, you can't really rule out from the title, really.
Thoughts on Jarno since incident last year at Canada? Well, yeah, I was involved in that. That was just a complete desync, so yeah, there's literally nothing I could have done there. I think the incident yesterday, I don't think he Tinitsa just outbroke himself or carried too much speed. There's nothing malicious or anything. I think it was just unfortunate.
Half and half day for Marcel Kiefer and Red Bull, of course.
Yeah, I think if Blakely can be very consistent, if he can keep getting top fours and stuff, then he has a great chance for the championship because he seems to have the pace, obviously. I think Silverstone, he could have been a bit more punchy. I know he's thinking of the championship, but he could have been a bit more punchy, even in Monza as well. I think he's just playing it. The thing is, if he gets damaged and then you lose so many points, I think he just wants to keep it consistent, which is not a bad thing. I think if he gets top 4 or 5 every race, then I think he could definitely be champion. I think if everyone does that, if anyone did that, then get a few podiums here and there as well. I think, yeah, if you're never outside the top 5, I think it's going to be pretty hard to beat.
Next tweet, Nicholas Longate. These next 3 tracks in Event 2 really made me lose my mind. Now, what do you take from that, James? Is it?
Yeah, Longate is super fast. I think on this day when he puts everything together, he's very hard to beat. He just needs to be a bit more consistent. But easy to say that. It's very hard to do.
No, I know what he means. It's just burnout. But there's no choice. You have to practice. You can't not practice because you'll be too slow. So it's a bit of catch-22, really.
Oh, did Danny overtake off track going into turn 1? Is that what happened? Oh, it must have been, isn't it? Yeah.
Grand Prix and Spa. What's your thoughts on this Spa-Francorchamps?
Ferrari have established drivers, but they just don't perform. I think Brendan and Tinitsa, I think there's a lot of drivers in there. Well, they've already been champions, obviously, but I think they've 100% got the talent. I think with them too, I think it's what James Baldwin said yesterday. I agree completely. I think they just... You need to put all your eggs in one basket when you're focusing on F1 Esports. If you're doing other games and stuff as well, it's just that extra 1%, 1 or 2% that you're missing. And yeah, you might be able to put it all together sometimes, but over a course of the season, when you're going against someone like Jarno, who just lives and breathes this game and he knows it inside out, and yeah, if he's point forming his max, it's going to be very hard to beat. For sure, but as I said, I think Jarno's only Achilles heel or weakness is that tracks that he doesn't like. Qualifying, he might not be consistent at, but tracks he does like is very good. But even then, I think he's always got the ability to get pole. But I think if Blakey could be consistent and Burrowman as well, I think if he can get a few wins, a couple wins soon, then he'll be right there. But I think Burrowman, this is his first proper season. He needs a bit more experience. But yeah, I think next season, Burrowman, with that experience, I think he'll be very good. Very good. Yeah, simulation damage as well. Exactly, yeah. Simulation damage, if you just get a tiny bit of damage, that's your race over, literally. So.
Could have been a bit later, maybe 50 actually. These modern Formula 1 cars are absolutely ridiculous at slowing down. Now we come downhill, just brake after the exit curb on the left there, down to 3rd gear. Maintain some sort of momentum, which I seem to struggle with quite a bit, but it wasn't too bad through the corner with no name. Now we come to Pouon. You just want to chuck the car in. Chuck the car in and pray. And I did not pray hard enough because I have now spun. That is great.
That's why I did example.
But we continue like that didn't happen. Through Pouon we go. That was lots of momentum.
You've been here with the production stuff, JD is a professional. Yeah, super professional. It's just very long days. Like a lot of people don't realise that there's practice sessions they all do before this. They have to do tests. The drivers would have been, if it was at the arena, they would have been here by like 8 AM, half 8, and then would have been there till 9 at night. So it's like a well over 12-hour day.
Different layouts around here in the past, in old Formula 1, where we didn't have such a
Tiro was ABS on, so I think if you max out with no assists, you probably go faster, but quite a lot of the time it's pretty useful. Yeah, Sebastian Job is doing amazing as well. He's probably one of the best sim drivers I've ever seen. Oops,
Well,
just
have you
moved my
seen
camera.
such a lap where you do a 360 and
There we
it's
go.
still an unbelievable time. Right, let's take a look at the driver lineup for this Belgian Grand Prix qualifying. And on this first page, I guess the big talking point there is...
Yeah, I'll turn up the
Dinoso
audio
out
when
and
we get
Sipos
racing.
in.
I'll turn up a little bit now
Of
if you
course,
want.
you've got the normal
That's a bit more now.
for a lot of them, FDA, Tanitsa and Lee. They'll still be looking to maybe get off the mark a bit better than they have done this
Yeah,
season.
Haddad, he just needs to get off the
Simon
mark. If he just
Weigand,
gets a couple
his
good results for
birthday. Happy
confidence.
birthday,
But he did a
Simon.
really good recovery
We're hoping for a
yesterday
great
to
result.
get back
He
into
has,
P8.
gone well here in the past. So let's see how that Alfa Romeo team does. Moving to the second page, we have Michael Romanidis in again for Williams, but look at that. Danny Beresne in your former team, James. He's been very, very good around here. We'll hear from Steph shortly about his performances. But Danny, back in the car, we're surely quite hopeful to see a better performance than we saw in Monza.
Absolutely. This is his track. If he's going to do well, this is it. So it's showtime for Danny Beresne.
Now, I've teed it up. Let's go and say hello to Steph, because she's got all the facts, all the figures, everything worked out. Steph, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are all of you?
Very good. Looking forward to
Yeah,
qualifying.
job. He just
Welcome
plays so
back
many other
once
racing
again.
games, and
Are
he's
you, looking
probably
forward
the
to
best
qualifying?
racer outside of
I am very
F1
much. I'm also
most of the time.
channeling my inner Tom Deacon at the desk here.
But yeah, I think
that
if you want to be
yesterday
esports champ, you just
guys
got
might have been a little
to
bit
fully
intimidated by me,
fully
so I'm
commit
over
to
here
F1
now to
only. I
assert my
think.
authority.
Perfect. If we're even more intimidated,
Tyrell,
there, we
what's
might
your
stick
karting
you up, in the
achievements?
gallery, if
Right.
that's okay.
Karting achievements.
But yeah,
I've
obviously we've
won
got the likes of Danny Beresne coming in and whatnot.
the
Who are
Butmore
you
Championship,
looking out
which is like
for?
my
Have you
local
kind of
track.
seen,
Won
in
quite a
the
few
past, any
championships,
sort of,
like local
historical
tracks I've
trends?
done.
Well, the
Fifth in the British
historical trend is
Championship.
that we have two drivers who
So
are very
those are the main
dominant
things.
around
But
the
from
circuit.
racing,
Those two
I did
drivers
karting for
are
like 10
Freddie
years or so.
Rasmussen and Danny
Won quite a lot
Beresne.
of trophies
So
and stuff, but
2018, we had
just too much
Danny
money to
Beresne
continue.
taking pole and Freddie Rasmussen in second place. But then if we go on to 2019, we have Danny Beresne again on pole and Freddie Rasmussen again in P2. And then moving on to 2020, they've done a little swap. And we've got Freddie Rasmussen in P1 and Danny
Rasmussen and
Beresne
Beresne always been in front too.
really
I think
close
Rasmussen will
together.
get pole.
As you
If he
were
does a good
talking
lap,
about,
I think he'll
guys,
get
before,
pole here.
in terms of the timing,
He's
they're
very,
both
very good
very
right here.
close, and they have been very close.
Last
The
year he got it
closest
by
they
well
were
over a
was
tenth.
in 2019 when there was 31 thousandths of a second between the two of them.
Yeah, I
So
think
if
F1
historical
Esports
trends
is
are
the biggest
anything to
prize
go
in sim
by,
racing at the moment.
we
Yeah,
should probably put
think so.
one or both of them in our drivers'
I
predictions.
think this year
which
it's
will be, coming up shortly.
750,000, I think.
Amazing stuff. So I guess we probably should have gone for Rasmussen and Beresne front row of the grid. Did you? No, I didn't either. I probably should have found out exactly what Steph had found out before we made our predictions. Let's take a look at what we've gone for.
Rasmussen pole.
Yeah, well, actually, I've gone for an Otmere pole.
No one's gone
because,
Rasmussen pole.
That's not exactly the
Interesting.
worst bet in the world, is it? Freddie Rasmussen, I've gone for P2. Berman P3.
Yeah, I think
ignore
it'll
the crowd.
be
Check the
Rasmussen,
No, we don't
Burryman,
need to see the crown. We don't care about the crown. I
and
saw that graphic and I was like, you're
Longo.
kidding me. It's one round of the prediction.
Amazing.
That's what I think.
And I've gone for Danny Moreno P4. Nick, the king, whatever you want to call yourself, go through your predictions, please.
Yep, so I've gone for Barry Beaumont, #BackBarry, as
here
I've
we go.
created for
Are
yesterday.
you getting paid as his marketing manager?
I am doing an amazing job.
Okay.
I'm doing an amazing job.
Most
and
famous
I've
driver
gone
race
for the
against?
consistency.
Probably Leclerc on an F1
Barry's
game.
been there, thereabouts, same as
Proper.
Jarno Otmere. He's always up there, isn't he? Danny Moreno
That was pretty
really
cool.
impressed me yesterday, and Lucas Blakely.
I don't know, I haven't tried
He's been
Spa
good
in this
the championship. He's
patch yet.
Mr. Consistency as well.
Absolutely. And
But yeah, I
Steph,
think it'll be
take us through yours.
Rasmussen,
Well,
Burryman,
even
and
though I
Longo
had all
pole.
the facts and
I think.
figures,
And
Danny
then
Beresne,
Blakely fourth.
as you can see, is not in my predictions. He hasn't been performing
Then Jarno
as
fifth,
well as
I
I've
think.
been expecting him to. But yeah, I think we've recycled quite a few of the same drivers,
To
actually.
be fair, Beresne's probably quite happy that you haven't put him in his predictions because you
Yeah.
put both the Ferrari drivers in your top 4 at Monza and neither of them got it through to Q3.
Yeah, race
so
should
I
be
was a bit
soon.
of a
Normally
jinx
it's
yesterday,
like
but today
half
is
an
a
hour
new
after
day.
the
we're not gonna
thing
talk
starts.
about that. So yeah,
Thanks.
I'm hoping my drivers are going to do well.
amazing. Now that you've heard our predictions, I want you to send in your questions or comments via the Twitch chat or hashtag F1 Esports on Twitter. Let us know your predictions and we'll see who comes out on top. James, what would your predictions be?
Ooh,
Gonna put you on the spot.
I think Beresne, he's
Barry
definitely got the
Burman
speed,
pole.
but he just,
Rasmussen P2.
I think,
Otmere
as like I said
P3,
before, you need to put all your
Beresne
eggs in one
P4.
basket.
So
I
you're
know
part of the
he's
hashtag
doing other
Barry
things on the
I
side
wouldn't
as
go that
well.
far,
Movement
but,
as
He
well.
doesn't do,
yeah,
well, he does
he's
do
quick
some
that
league
far.
racing, but
Beresne, he's gonna do it.
Yeah?
yeah,
Come on,
I
Danny.
think he
So
just
what's
needs a bit
your,
more confidence at the
experience
moment, I
with-
think.
Because of course you've raced a lot of these drivers in the past. Barry, how come he's kind of come to the fore?
I'm not
at
sure what the
moment and
tracks
is
are for
right at the
event
front
3.
of
I
this
think
field when we haven't
it's
seen him in
Portimao,
previous years?
He's
Zand,
been there,
Wart.
like just not in
I think
F1
some
Esports.
tracks,
I
potentially.
don't know why he didn't enter it sooner. So
Have a look,
it was
actually.
only a matter of time, really. With Spa as well, I've seen him do various league races, and he, for whatever reason, around Spa, just he knows it. So I predict him to be on.
He knows where he's going.
He knows his way around Spa.
So for event 3, we have Portimao, Netherlands, and Austin.
A lot of the drivers
And then we have, for the final round, Imola, Mexico, and Sao Paulo.
Tend to be where we really see representative lap times, usually shakedowns, if anything, because they're all on the medium tyres.
Here we go.
Just to kind of bed yourself in and kind of settle some nerves?
Yeah, I mean, they will have a little...
Yeah, I've been to quite a few F1 races. Been to like 6 Silverstone races and 1 Abu Dhabi.
And it gives you a decent delta for when you go and do your 2 soft run laps. It just gives you a bit of confidence, you know.
So this is round 6 qualifying. We've got another, well, including tonight's race, we've got 7 races to go. So still quite a way to go.
Because of how long the track is.
Yeah, big. I'm guessing.
And let's wait for them to put on the full screen so we can actually see what's going on.
A big difference. You're not going to get through on the mediums in Q1. Nick, you mentioned yesterday that you'd gone round Monza and I hadn't. You've been round Spa, I imagine, quite a bit.
No, I haven't.
You haven't gone round the track, and I have.
All right, showtime.
Yes. Not in a real racing car, but still been round it.
It's a circuit I'd
Move my
love
camera
to go
around
to.
just a little bit.
Sorry, I've got a problem with my throat. But I think because the circuit's so long, the driver's got to be really careful getting those bankers in, because making a mistake, a late mistake,
I don't think you can drink in public in Abu Dhabi. Quite strict.
Another last run at it. So yeah,
right.
It makes
Who's gonna go out?
I don't know, every lap even
BS
more,
Esports is so close that
special and
anyone
even more
can literally go
meaningful.
out. Or everyone's using a slime where they go on the grass.
Yeah, you make a very good point. It is an incredibly long circuit, and it is very difficult to nail an amazing lap round here. That's why we've seen in the past, maybe some drivers.
So what everyone does is usually everyone goes out on mediums first. Because of the tyre selection this year, it's a bit different.
Again, James, or do you feel like, you know, we have seen the steps being made every single year? Is it going to be as close as we've seen for the previous races?
Yeah, I might move my cam down so it's a bit
pole last year,
a bit easier.
F1 Esports, that is enormous. I mean,
that's
an insane lap. So I'd be surprised if we see it again. But you know, someone might pull out the bag. Barry might.
There we
if
go.
someone hits their PB,
so you can actually see the sector time as well.
You might get that kind of gap. But it's so hard to hit your PB when it matters. So I doubt it. But
we will find out. Q1 is.
I'm not sure what a good time is. I think it's soft. It's going to be. Is it 39s now?
At the moment, but as we've mentioned, these are medium tyre laps. This is just kind of a little bit showboating.
Or no, it might be high 40s now. I think it's high 40s.
Brendan Lee goes second. Yoni Tormula first, but
I think so. It used to be 39s.
Pace differential will see them well into the 141s. As Barry, the one that apparently knows his way around here, has put himself.
Yeah, Barry's very good.
Right just behind.
Very good.
Moreno now heads to the top of the timesheets. But
curves are going to be a nightmare around here.
Great point, Nick, about how long this track is, and it just adds that extra layer of pressure, doesn't it? That, you know, if
long game's really good
get a
around here as well.
Of course, you have 18 minutes in this session, so you have more than enough time if you don't feel confident to go for a couple of laps. But
Jarno doesn't like to go out on mediums.
Have that luxury.
I think he doesn't want to do it.
And this is why it's super important. And
likes doing the opposite to everyone else.
With Yoni Tormula at Monza, I think it was.
Jarno went medium soft yesterday at Silverstone.
He got track limits, but he wasn't able to come into the pit lane and change tyres. He ended up out of Q2.
Oh yeah, I'll test these scenes soon. Jürgen, don't worry.
More the case if they make a mistake through Q2 to get into Q3. So,
yeah, Marcel, he's
a lot to think
just
about,
got through like Q1, Q2 on quite a few occasions. That even happened last year as well.
Indeed. As does James Baldwin, of course. You know, welcome James to the show. I'm glad that you're here because you're a much more recent expert than me throwing back a few years to when I used to league race. Talk us through the one of the techniques that we've seen throughout the last few seasons of short shift.
Yeah, I think Paul will be
because of course, you know, you look at it on paper and
probably
you go, short shift by one gear and
40.8,
we see them
maybe
aggressively
40.8
going through the gears. I'm talking.
If I'm right, it'll probably be in the 40s.
Is that what are they exactly doing to make for the reason for going so high up the gears out some corners?
Well,
well, you've got 1,000 horsepower plus going through two.
You want to get quite a good delta in the mediums because then when you go on the softs, it'll just give you so much more confidence. If you do a really good time, then you assume you're going to go 1 seconds faster. No, the delta's quite big between the tyres here.
And that's actually, interestingly, for the virtual GP, I was teamed up with Nick And that's the one thing
What
that
volume for the
nail
actual
ahead
thing?
of the race was that weird short shifting. They don't do it in
I'll put
real
it up
life,
now.
do they?
No,
In Formula One, so it's definitely game specific, but it's hard. It takes that's probably the hardest thing to master on this game.
Let me know if the
I guess when you're
like the volume on track is too low. I'll put it up even more.
And the revs a bit easier than when you're almost bogged down out of some corners. How do you master that?
Practice, muscle memory, getting used to how the game sounds or how the car feels when you need to short shift, and a little bit of luck involved to nail it. And it's only really out of the slow corners, like the chicane, turn 1.
Right, cool.
At the medium speed as well, like Lecom is really tricky on this game because you've got to go over the curves.
Yeah, Yana doesn't want to set it up on mediums.
At the same time, the car's on the edge.
Because sometimes
so
that
those
can
drivers that can drive on the limit and
kind of disrupt your flow a little bit for the soft run.
That a lot this year. Have you noticed every onboard has been like drifting? I think he might go quite well. He's not in my prediction either. What have I done?
I think it's fine. It wasn't on paper. Yours can just change. I won't actually remember what your top 4 is, so that's fine. Whereas Nick with his crown, I'll definitely remember that for some time. So we've had our first round of, I guess, showboating medium tyre runs. This won't really be particularly representative for the foreseeable in this session.
Thank you,
Roman
Jockey
Edis,
Hockey.
one of the first drivers to come out the pits on the soft tyres. What's your experience, James, on the track evolution?
I think 40.8.
Well? That's something that
maybe
happens between
40.7,
Q1, Q2,
maybe.
Q3. Does it change a huge
I'm not an
amount
expert
between
at
the
Spa,
start of a
since
Q1
the patch.
session and the end of a
The
Q1
actual
session?
times a bit.
Not a huge amount, but any amount is enough in this series to make the difference. It does change, like it's a fact.
I've got 2 monitors.
Q1 to Q3.
2 monitors. I've got an ultra
And
wide,
the
what I'm looking at
reason,
here,
the
and then I've got
excuse I
my
had for going out in Q1 last year was I went too early.
game monitor over there.
What I missed out by 4 thousandths. So
600s actually, mate. So sorry,
more than that.
Even more.
Yeah, not 4,000.
Really poor from me,
Yeah.
This isn't a gallon bottle. This is a.
If I went
Funny
later, I
enough,
might
this
have
is
made
only
it through.
2.5
It's that
litres.
close. The evolution's tiny though, but
Like,
it does make a difference.
It's crazy.
Absolutely, especially with the margins that we've been seeing this
Looks
season.
like a gallon, but it's
and,
not.
yeah, very excited to see who comes
But I
out
drink a
on
lot of
top.
water though.
And I guess who just gets through Q1? Danny Beresne may be feeling a little bit more pressure this time, Nick, after Monza, where he was expected to go well. Of course, was given that track in particular to prepare for, and didn't come together.
Yeah, I think he's definitely under pressure. Or I think he is, because he needs to really start to show his quality, because we know he's a quality driver. He's had a lot of experience and really good results. And at the moment, Joshua Dowu did a great job when he was in the seat as replacement to Beresne. So Beresne needs to show that
Yeah, it looks way bigger than 2.5 litres. 2.5 litres is still quite big for water bottle. So.
Josh or Danny himself.
I think it's worth saying as well, it doesn't matter who you are, what you've done. If you don't perform, you're out. It's it's cutthroat.
Yeah.
And it should be, in a way.
And is it more strategical for teams, as in saying, Danny, you're better.
Come on, David.
Spa,
I want
for
Tinnitus
example,
to do well.
Put you in, or is it literally they think Josh hasn't performing, or they want to give Danny an opportunity? What would it be? Would it be tactical, or literally you're out, you're in?
I think it's a bit of a balance, because obviously Josh is very young, lots of potential. They want to get him a seat, the experience. I suppose it's a case of where to do that. Even if Danny was, say, 100th quicker at Silverstone than Josh, put Josh in anyway, see how he gets on, because Danny's, he's a proven entity on Spa, he's a proven entity on Monza, so it's a case of balancing it. They've got to think of the future as well. I'm not saying Danny Beresne's old. I think he's 20 years old. So it's just about giving everyone a fair chance. And Barry is clearly their quickest driver. So they have to field him every time for that drivers' championship.
It's out on the track at the Jeez, that is a line and a half going in.
Never seen that.
Not a fan of that
Yeah,
line.
please talk to me about that, because that was insane.
So this game, F1 2021, for some reason you can do that on the exit of no
These
name.
curbs
You
are
can run on the
nightmare.
Astro
These are the
curve.
ones
I
that are
believe
horrible.
if you go in the middle of it on the grass or on the other side, you can't. But
See
if
how
you
much
keep
he's
the
up
wheel
in
on
his
the Astro
delta.
curve, you get a better entry into P1, which is very strange. But
This will be a
that's
low
tactic, isn't it?
41, I
That's,
think.
Maybe just opens up the corner a little bit more.
I'm
doesn't
going to say
it, for
41.
Phil? So, they're trying everything. I saw that.
both
I was
your
like,
faces then were.
excuse me. Steph, what did you make of that?
Or
David
maybe-
Schnitzer, of course,
maybe
was
one,
your man for
potentially.
pole in Monza. That was
See
some
how wrong
tactics
I am.
from the FDA driver, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if he'd have deployed those tactics, or if that was the case in Monza, then maybe we would have seen him on pole. But
41.3.
that lap
Almost,
as well,
almost.
good
This is
enough
a
for
41.2.
P2 currently, so clearly that's the way to go.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if the other drivers out there.
I think he needs to be going a bit faster than that, probably.
Popped in a lap time
It's not
just
good for
quicker.
Brendan.
Brendan Lee's had a very mediocre lap time by his standards, popping himself to P3. But remember, all the drivers behind have not set a soft tyre.
Yeah, Yana likes sparring this game.
Now slotting
Remember
into
last
P2,
game, he wasn't
and we've
a
got
massive
3 drivers
fan of it.
already on a 0.3. So I think it's going to be as close as we've ever seen. Oh, let's pop another 0.3 in there by Jarno Opmeer. Yeah, we thought it was going to be maybe slightly more stretched out because it's a bigger track, but no. F1 Esports Series 2021 still delivering even round Belgium. Here's Marcel Kiefer. You want to be setting a banker lap at this point of the session, and you also don't want to be using too many soft tyres if you possibly can, as you know, you don't have an unlimited supply. Marcel Kiefer over the line with a 0.4. That, you know, it's not going to give him too much to praise himself about. Danny Beresney, 0.5. He's going to have to go again, isn't he?
It's not enough. No.
I think Rasmussen will.
That's disappointing. As Freddie
I
Rasmussen,
think he'll be happy to stay in the pits. I don't think he'll need to go again.
But Danny Beresney already tumbling down the order down to P12.
Actually, that is close.
And yeah, he's going to have to go again, isn't he?
I think it is so close. But are people on a 0.5 really going to improve by 3 tenths?
It's going to be close, but he's got one more run.
It could even go to the 0.4s, couldn't it? Really, with how we haven't seen.
I reckon Paul will be a high 40.
Moreno. Van Erven's not set a representative lap time. Romanidis hasn't set a lap time full stop. So
cars equal
there's no
cars.
chance of getting another run on these softs, especially with how long the track is. So it's very much pressure on for Danny Beresny for his next.
I think my best time I've done since the patch is
on an in lap at the moment.
41. I know in TT it's like a 0.2. I think online it's a 4, 41.3 or 4. So
he should, in theory, be able to save.
Yeah, I reckon it'd be a high 40.
Beautiful sticky red tyres, Nick.
Yes, in theory.
I'm going to say 0.8. Like I said before, I think it'll be a 0.8.
Just to almost make sure that they're through, but I think Freddie would be silly to waste a set. I think it's it's really interesting how close.
Yeah, where's Lucas Blakely?
And it's
still in the pits.
41 second lap. It's
did he invalidate?
Stuff. Patrick Sifos doing a really good job up there.
That's a lot of pressure. Moreno in the pits as well.
So far, I think it's been a shame so far.
They invalidate their laps. It's not good.
He was P5
and they got one chance.
And don't think he raced for one of the events yesterday. So good to see him back in, and Michael Romanidis down obviously in P20, but we know he's got some
Longue
as well. There's still
Rasmussen,
a lot of work for some of the high runners.
So yeah, what did I say? I said Rasmussen, Barrowman,
for Danny Moreno
Longue.
and Brendan Lee, all down there with a bit of work to do.
So we've spoken about the pressure of this sparse circuit. There's definitely going to be some for Lucas Blakely down in P18, Danny Moreno as well.
I think most tracks people are going to go medium to soft because after full qualifying in the race you can start in any tyre you want, even if you qualified on softs.
I don't think anyone's going to leave it to their final run.
Part foam is off,
no one's that confident, I don't think. I know amongst the drivers this is like probably the least favourite track on the game. Just the way it is, the way you have to cut certain curbs, and it's almost like a little bit of luck is involved. Hence why the drivers are not really enjoying it too much.
Yeah, I think this like me is, but then do a massive undercut on the softs.
You know, going around here, I've noticed.
I think we saw that a couple of years ago, but then it's like Monza, the softs are very, very powerful around here.
That can behave slightly differently depending on how fast you go into them. If you dip a wheel just slightly too far onto the curb, that sort of stuff.
Exactly, I think that's the thing that frustrates the drivers, which means, yeah, it just takes more practice to get used to it. And as I say, there's a little bit of luck involved to nail that, especially when you're leaving it to the final run. You know, Blakely, that's a tall order. You know, a lot of pressure on one run.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on Moreno and Blakely now.
Concentrated, you know.
Especially considering he's never been in this position before, you know. He's very much in the championship hunt, Nick. And I think this is probably the first time we've seen this season where, you know, this is something where he has to deliver.
Yeah, now this is where we're going to see what he's truly made of, aren't we? Because the championship protagonists that we've had in the past, they've been up against it and just managed to pull it out. I've seen...
Actually, Part Femi is on, but I mean, like between qualifying and the race, they can.
And then just
it's a new lobby, so they can make a new setup, and they don't have to start on those tyres.
Yeah, are we going to see?
Like, that's the only thing that's a little bit annoying, maybe. So. Like, the top 10 can start on any tyre they want.
Being a bit nervous and not necessarily confident because he's been consistent, really consistent. But maybe this is the first time he hasn't got his first lap in the bag. But
yeah, Barry was a bit optimistic in Monza, I think. But yeah, the softs are just too powerful now.
Well, pretty far into the limits, so I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. But
that was a bit of a... I don't know. I don't know how to decipher that. He said he was on the limit, but he's not sure if it's going to be enough.
I think he was well within the limits, is what he's saying.
Oh, I see.
A lot of time still left on the table.
Well, that's good. That's good news for Jarno, isn't it? That he's well within the limits and P2.
I think he'll be all right with a low 0.3. To be honest, I could be. F1 Esports never fails to surprise us.
Jarno's not going out.
Yeah, love that. That's another one from the bingo card. Let's hear some more team radio.
Do you think that's enough?
Barry's still
We're not sure about that right
if I was...
The cutoff is a 0.651 by Haddad, which is P15.
I think that's enough.
A little bit. They should be fine, but a little bit of a
You'd
risk.
think so, wouldn't you?
A little bit of a risk.
In the grand scheme of things, that's quite a 0.3 of a second. Longa's up in P3.
Because I've seen people in Q1 who've been on pole and then they've gone out by the second run.
Probably not, but this is a risk that they sometimes have to take. But you can see the top 5 have not come out the pits.
Top 5, that's a big risk for the top 5.
Under pressure, if we see massive amounts of improvement. Brendan Lee loves setting a lap time right at the end of a session. He is currently down in 16th place on a 0.8, and that was very mediocre by his standards.
Yeah, this qualifying's live.
Line,
this one is.
Once again, that is quite something. And then he flies it into P1. You know, I know you love the flies comment, Nick, so I'm doing it just for you. And let's see what Brendan Lee's like through this middle sector.
We need to get on board with Lucas.
Of course, another set of soft tyres on that Ferrari.
See what his lap's
we'll
doing.
See the second sector time after.
He's only got one chance.
Will Brendan needs to be a good 4 tenths up.
Because I don't think it's really worth saving a set of softs around here because the lap is so long. You're not going to be able to do 3 runs in the last Q3 anyway. But obviously for Q2 it could be a bit more beneficial. Even then, doing 3 runs is almost
out of Q1.
pretty
I'd love
difficult.
To see what the likes of Moreno and Blakely are doing out there as well. I will whack out my iPad and see what's going on. Blakely is out there doing pretty good sectors, as is Van Erven as well. Maybe slightly down on the middle sector. Brendan Lee over the line. He is going to go P7.
High 0.7,
should
high 0.3.
be good enough for him. Danitza does not improve, stays P8. Michael Romanides a little bit deep into the bus stop chicane, maybe trying to make up the time that he's lost over the rest of the lap. He comes over the line and does not... Where does he go?
Blakely
he goes
P2.
18th, so he does not make it out of Q1. Blakely up to P2. That is a huge lap from Lucas. We wanted to see what his mettle was like, and he's managed to safely make it out of Q1. Marcel Kiefer, 13th at the moment. Bit of pressure on his shoulders, but he showed yesterday he's able to cope with it, down to 14th now. Where does he lift himself up?
Nice.
To P1, a 41.223.
Red Bull 1-2.
Great lap from Marcel Kiefer. Danny Moreno last at the moment. Where is he going to end up in the Mercedes? He goes P3. Lovely work from him. So it's Van Erven, Tomei. Tomei goes to 16th, but is going to be out. And unless Haddad can improve, and he does indeed. Haddad up to 4th,
GG, nice
which
one.
moves Caraton out in Q1.
Caraton
once again,
out
Danny
again.
Makes it through by 13 thousandths of a second. So it's Caraton, Tomei, Van Erven, Presneda.
Caraton, he's got... I think he's got the talent, 100%. I don't think he's won a race, but I think he's got a couple of poles before. And he's had multiple podiums, but he just needs to put it all together. He's definitely got the talent, 100%, but I don't know what it is. He just needs to be just a bit more consistent.
Fairly standard.
But as I said, that's a really
that's a fair comment.
difficult thing to do.
I think was out last time we saw him on the qualifying.
Because there's just so much pressure. It's just super hard.
Alvaro clearly struggling in qualifying at the moment, but he seems to be one of those drivers where he will have quite anonymous races, and then he'll just finish 4th or finish 3rd, and he'll get quite a big haul of points. And we saw that he was 5th in the championship, as you mentioned.
Yeah, like Matty's saying,
Not quite
like
where you want to be.
typically towards the end of the season, he would like put it on pole out of nowhere
every
and
single race.
Get a second or third or something, just like really randomly. It's just very weird.
Or in the championship, and obviously Alvaro, he can be there and thereabouts. We have seen him.
My PB, I haven't really done this track much. I think it's a 0.4 online, so it's not bad. I think that would have got me through.
And then, as you said, all of a sudden,
well, that's in short qualifying though.
P4, P5.
Not in Q1. Q1's normally quite a bit a little bit slower.
Exactly that. But just want to go back to Lucas Blakely. I did say, let's see what he's actually made of and whether he can pull the lap out. And pull the lap out, he did, P4.
Yeah,
it's like usual F1 quality, 2 Williams, 2 Hassels, and 1 Alfa Romeo.
What's your experience of racing against Lucas Blakely? We see him right here coming round the bus stop chicane. What's your experience racing against him?
Well,
last year we were very much on the same part of the grid, you know, in that 12th, 13th, occasionally getting the point type thing. So we raced quite a bit. He's very fair.
Look at that relief on his face.
Heart on the sleeve character, isn't he? I've raced him in other sims as well. He's fair and he's quick, and he clearly delivers under pressure. So.
Now, we know that a big part of this F1 Esports series is not just performing under pressure, but it's also the setups as well. How much work has to go into a car setup for one particular track, and then how much can it differ as we go across the season?
Like Flip Novak.
Well, that, you know, we always talk about why there's so many hours put in on the F1 game for all these drivers. It's not because of the driving, it's for the setups. So that's what it's all about. You know, it's like trying to flog a Haas in real F1 to finish P1. It's not going to happen. So you need the setup with underneath you to do the lap time, and that's where all the hours go, really.
Cool. Let's take a look at the first Q1 eliminated drivers. Alvaro Carreton, probably the big shock there, just missing out in P16. Tomei, Van Erven, Prishneda and Romanidis. And yeah, that's going to be disappointing, especially for both the Haas drivers. Van Erven so close to scoring maybe a point or two in the last few races, but now has got a big job on his hands from P18, just behind his teammate Tomei. Prishneda, he's kind of been this upcoming talent, but hasn't been able to get qualifying right in his head, as you can now see. Qualifying 2. Q2 has started now. A lot of drivers.
So yeah, the first lap in Q2, they'll
what have
probably
you made of Q1,
they keep
Steph?
using
It's,
used
none of your
mediums.
predictions were in there,
Try and get a
so
good delta on the board.
congratulations on that one.
We are off to a good start, which is positive for me. But the cut-off between Danny Berezny in P15 and Carreton in P16, 13 thousandths of a second. So close, and I would be absolutely buzzing if we saw a cut-off that was that close for Q3 as well.
Yeah, I'll be watching the race tonight as well. So yeah, if you want me to do a race watch along, just let me know.
I do love a small gap between all the drivers. It's kind of, yeah, it's a little bit of an OCD of mine.
See what Rasmussen
does.
Like this is on used tyres, so
it's just amazing to see.
And just to go back to your point about car setups and the amount of time you spend on car setups, are you guys
should be used tyres?
For
it's quite hard to get free runs in though.
Find you
so that's why a lot of people might not be doing this.
Is it that,
this might even be new. I'm just might be talking rubbish.
You know, parameter.
See by the sectors.
Just find something that's better. You know, it could be 1,000th, it could be a 10th. It really depends. If it's more drivable, it might not necessarily be quicker. But if it's easier to drive and you can do it more consistently, that's a good step in the right direction. If you take some downforce off, you use less battery, so in the race that's better. There's so many areas to it, and it's quite a boring topic.
Oh no, it's not boring. We want to open that brain up, James.
But you'll find the people who find the best setups are usually the ones that are really switched on, and that's why you see Jarno, who makes the really good strategic calls. He will be someone who finds the best setups on this game, and that's why he's at the front.
Good stuff. Definitely not boring, James. I can tell you that for free.
This might be used tyre.
Can Rasmussen get any closer to his screen? Like, I find that he's very, very.
I really hope he's got some anti-glare thing.
Is that his screen?
Yeah,
it is. And he obviously drives very upright. Surely he's going to get square eyes, no?
There's a theory amongst the drivers that if you're closer to the wheel, you can react faster.
Yeah,
that's why you see some of the drivers literally on top of the wheel, which I find
just getting a feel for the track, because you can't do free runs.
Like
it's impossible.
But interesting.
I love the different techniques they go for. I think Jarno's another one that sits very close to his steering wheel. I remember seeing them when we had the drivers in the arena, and you know, his face is practically
on
where the wheel is. You think, you know, you have a bit of force feedback, you might be knocking yourself out. But no, it's interesting to see that, because you know, it can't be that comfortable either to be sitting that close to both the screen, the wheel, and also probably your posture's not great either.
But did you see in the last event, Alessio, the Williams driver, at Austria, there was an onboard, a webcam, and he was holding his wheel like underneath on the left-hand side. Did you see that?
I did, yeah. Actually, I did notice that. Yeah.
That was really different. I've never seen that before. You know.
Does he drive that the whole time? Do you know? Or
well, he was on a lap, and he was going through turn at 13, I think it was, like that, holding the bottom of his wheel on the left-hand side. Wow. Bizarre. But
that is very bizarre.
Each to their own, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, whatever works. Eh?
Yeah.
I'm not one to say what's right or wrong. You can see now, Sebastian Job, what an amazing performance he had.
Yeah, cars are equal.
Last time out, P6 in Monza. Can he do it again? What's he found? Just out of nowhere, he was very much in the mix in Monza. Spa, a very different track. A lot more corners, a lot more, as we say, you know, curbs that can upset the car. But maybe just that confidence boost will help him. Would you say there is a bit of a confidence element to it? James, after you get a good result, do you then feel like, right, okay, next qualifying, let's go?
Yeah, I think he's done it on other sims, hasn't he? So it's probably, you know, it's the F1 Esports series, the biggest series in the world. Let's go and crack it over there. And there's a lot of pressure that builds up. So to get his first points, a good finish as well at P5. Yeah, I think when you have a little bit less pressure on yourself, you perform better. And that's what we're seeing with Beresnay at the moment. That pressure's building. Maybe he's affected.
Of course, yeah, he got P5, didn't he, after Moreno's penalty as well. So yeah, that's it's an amazing result from
Hey, Raj.
So,
thank you very much, bro.
Yeah, let's see what happens with Sebastian Job. We think it's Job, isn't it? It's not Job.
It's Job.
No, it's Job. He's British.
Yeah, it's fine. Tom Deacon, who's not here.
I think it's Sebastian Job.
He said
It's not Job.
I don't think
there's no E on
I don't think it's Job. What would you call Sebastian?
Yeah, it's Sebastian Job.
Job or Job, Steph?
Is it British? Are we confirming British?
100%
Yeah, I mean, I was going to go a bit exotic and say Yob, but apparently
that's
I don't think that's going to be correct.
Maybe we need to ask him. I got him confused with Samuel Libert.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who's French.
See, yeah.
As in you've got their names right? What did you
I just got him confused.
Okay, that's
Let's
fine.
just go with that.
Yeah, just confused.
Just go with that. But he's very
Your
British,
squares.
is Sebastian.
Yes.
Very British.
He's very British. And I actually saw him do a piece with Marcel Kiefer. And so, yeah, he's very, so I'm going to say Job.
Okay, and it's like with Bono Huis, his name's House, isn't it? It's Bono House.
I always thought it was Huiz, but is
you
it
can
House?
see, apparently it's like House or something. It's something similar to that. But then, because everybody's called him Huis, he's just kind of gone with that and not just stopped.
It's the same
bothering.
with Leclerc and Leclerc.
Well, I mean, Charles himself doesn't know how to.
He does.
Like, he calls himself Charles.
He calls himself Charles Leclerc.
But then when he's on the team radio, he goes Charles. He's like, come on, Charles. So it's a strange thing. Apparently, when you're a racing driver, you have many different pronunciations of your own name. Let's focus back on Q2 now. David Tonitza out there. Tonzilla. We haven't called him that for a while, but unfortunately, he hasn't really been getting his mascot out either.
And that came from Alex Brundle, I heard.
It did, yes. Alex Brundle came in for some commentary, I think, to fill in for.
And that's why he's never been back?
No, absolutely not.
I'm joking. I love Alex, by the way. Yeah. Just so you know, I'm joking. I'm totally joking. I love Alex. He's a good lad.
To be fair, people will know your sense of humour by now.
Yeah. No,
Tonzilla round the last couple of corners. Sebastian Job has done a 41.6. Where does Tonitza go? 41.5.
I've got a feeling this is on
so
used tyres.
Quite near where we saw in Q1.
I reckon this is on used tyres.
Over the line. He's going to do a 41.6 as well. Would this be, James, do you reckon this is some worn soft tyre runs?
Potentially, apart from, you know, maybe Freddie, who's got that spare set, and I think a few others didn't use their second set.
I think this is used tyres.
So what was the cut-off point in Q1? Was it 40.4?
I think it was a 41.4, yeah.
Sorry. So, yeah, it's going to be maybe a 41.2, 41.1 for Q3.
Wow. So that'll be very interesting. Jarno's popped in a 41.3, which, you know, I guess if you're in this as Patrick Sipos does a 41.2, would you tend to use your extra set of softs now in Q2, or would you try and save them for Q3?
If you've got the pace and the confidence, yeah, save them.
Well, that's validated.
Is
that validated
for use it in Q2 to get through to Q3 because it's so tight, you know. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is. We're seeing some .2s flying in at the moment. Barry Burman does a 41.1 and goes to the top of the timesheets. Longate comes alongside him in P2 with a 41.2. Danny Beresnay only a 41.5 at the moment. It's not working out for the McLaren Shadow driver, who's been on the front row every single year we've qualified here. So Danny may be just lacking a little bit of pace on this game for whatever reason. And, well, it's not the setup game because Barry Burman is in the same team, and you'd imagine they will work together very closely in order to make sure the setup's great for both drivers. That's an actual question I've got for you, James, as well. I know I'm bombarding you with questions at the moment, but you're here and I'm going to use you. Do drivers tend to use the same setups, or driving styles, does that come into this sort of game and you might see two different setups for two of the same team?
Well, in 2019 I was teammates with Beresnay, and I did try and use his setups. I could never make them work. They were too oversteery, really oversteery. So I thought it was a me problem. Went to use his setups too often, when in fact what I should have done is maybe looked at his setups and developed my own. And everyone has their own driving style to a very certain point. Some teammates will, because they are very similar in how they drive. But if they're two extremes, you know, me and Danny, for example, you will use different setups, naturally. But the philosophy will be the same, you know, the same downforce levels, the same straight line speed, but just little bits that, you know, you can tweak.
Just going to adjust it to try and make it a bit more drivable.
Will change.
Okay, interesting stuff. Love that. Thank you so much, James.
Toes aren't allowed in esports. Not allowed to do it. Last year, you weren't allowed to do it, so it's banned in esports. So yeah, no slipstreaming allowed. Because I remember when they did used to allow it, it was the traffic on track was just an absolute nightmare, so they banned it.
Right now, so I think actually they both have a lot of pace around this track, and it could definitely be that this is a stronghold for Alpine. So definitely the drivers to keep an eye on right now. Patrick Sipos as well, not running in every race, but clearly very strong around this circuit. So I've got my eye on him. Yeah, Sipos has done a fantastic job so far in qualifying, and he's racing for the Alpine team because he is just seen as a fast driver at Spa in their lineup, and at the end it plays out similarly to Event 1, giving Fabrizio time to focus on 2 tracks. And
yeah, toes have been banned for
the Austrian race
since last season. Last season they were banned as well.
At the highest level,
so yeah,
following
you're not allowed
practice.
to do it.
So that is very interesting indeed. That they are again splitting the resource. Sipos being given the opportunity.
Yeah, I prefer it about the toe anyway. I think it's just better than the driver just doing it themselves.
As always, very impressed. And no, I just look at this qualifying every time.
Yeah, when I was in Alpha, toes weren't allowed. Toes weren't allowed last year.
They do such a fantastic
so yeah,
job,
they've been gone for
I think,
2 seasons now.
James, actually, I do want to pick your brains. And what I want to pick your brains about is this outlap, for example. How important is it? Now, from my limited experience on the game, you can use your tyres up quite quickly in terms of percentages. So when you go through the MFD menu, and it says 1 or 2% wear or whatever, do you know the difference between a
slipstream? It depends what track, but around here I'd say it could be like 3/10
on the game.
With the outlap, it's
down the back straight. I reckon it could be about 2.5, 3/10 maybe.
It doesn't matter whether you get more tyre wear.
You can't unless you're sat.
It's quite big.
You won't really do the world of damage to your tyres.
But yeah, I'm glad that they don't do it anymore.
There's certain tracks
so
like
it's
this
just
one where it's high deg,
ruining people's driver's laps who are on the lap and then get traffic.
Really cold tyres, from my experience.
It's much better to just the driver do it on outright skill
some
anyway.
Tracks where you're aiming for around 85, 90 degrees, like Monza, where it's actually quite hard to get temp into that front right, where it's just being kind of
2 to 3/10, 3 max.
So it really depends on the track, but around here they'll be aiming for a very slow outlap, just to make sure they've got tyre temp at the end of the lap and it's not overheating. So
amazing stuff. Steph?
So before, actually, we were talking about how a 1/10 of a second is a lot in esports terms. Well, Barry is currently at the top, a 1/10 of a second ahead of
Barry not going out.
He's
not going out again.
So he must not be going out on a final lap and must think that is good enough to get him into Q3.
Speaking of which, we can hear from Barry Burramand, who is a very jubilant driver.
What a lap, mate. Nice job.
Let's go, Tobin. Let's go, man.
That's mega, mate. I think we're safe already. So, yeah, well done.
And with him being in the pit still, that would suggest that they do think they're safe. And if they're not safe, then we've had one of the craziest
maybe Paul won't be in the 40s then. Brendan Lee,
he's just started his lap.
A 0.9 or 0 then maybe an 8 would be an insane lap.
14th at the moment. Hasn't been a clean run through for Brendan so far in this session. Just about scraped through after leaving it to the last minute in Q1. He's leaving it to the last minute again in Q2. He was slightly up through his first section. I think that's a 41 thousandths of a second up on his time, that is, not the current fastest. And let's see what Brendan manages to do as we see them heading down towards Pouhon now. A lot of commitment needed through here. You saw him, that's a little bit wide, wouldn't you say?
I think he got away with it, but that line going into Pouhon never fails to it just surprise me, It looks so weird, doesn't it?
It does. But I guess with that, the thinking is try and widen.
Oh, you've got to do it.
Yeah.
You've got to do it. If you want to get the maximum speed into Pouhon, you need to do it.
Much better lap.
4/10 nearly of a second up once again. This is what he did in Q1. He's 4/10 up, which will put him on a 0.2, which may well see Brendan through, but it depends how good his last sector is. The only real question that we have is the last corner.
It's at 0.1 as well.
Barry is just watching, chilling, seeing what happens in the rest of Q2. Brendan into the bus stop chicane now. Can he put that FDA Ferrari through into Q3, drives to the line now, DRS wide open, and
nice.
he goes P2. That's a great lap from Brendan Lee. A 41.1, Yoni Tormer over the line with a 0.1, and all of a sudden,
Jarno,
there are a lot of 41.1s coming on the timesheets. Marcel Kiefer only 7th with a 41.281. That could put him under pressure. Sebastian Job to the line. Where does he go? He goes up to 5th.
Marcel
10th,
now down to 11th.
Patrick Sipos comes into the pits. He will not improve anymore in this session. Simon Weigang, the birthday boy, round the final corner. Can he get that Alfa Romeo out of Q2? He cannot. 14th is where he will end. Lucas Blakely has not set a lap time at the moment. Once again, leaving it to the end. Freddie Rasmussen heads to the top of the timesheets. Now, Lucas, can he get into Q3? He can indeed. Another
Jarno out. Jarno's out.
And
11th.
Jarno's
out.
Now we've got Sipos. Who else has just gone up there? It is Daniel
No one's realised it.
I think that was in P3. And Nicholas Longe's done a 41.0.
Jarno's out.
And that is Marcel Kiefer on the cusp. Haddad
12,
comes over the
13.
line, and Kiefer is out in Q2. Danny Perez.
And Jarno.
Can he get that McLaren out?
Jarno's out as well.
He needs to improve quite heftily. Running towards the line now, Daniel Beresne. He does not. I don't see that.
11, was it?
No, I think he just missed out. But Marcel Kiefer,
Beresne 14.
big scout.
Was Otmir out as well?
Jarno's out.
Otmir out 13.
Yep.
Oh wow, Otmir as well.
14th. 14th.
So Danny Beresne made it through. Job, Kiefer, Sipos, and Otmir. And all of that focusing on Kiefer, Jarno Otmir did not manage to improve enough. And that the championship leader and Marcel Kiefer out in Q2.
I know we always say it's close, but a 10th at Spa between 11 cars is ridiculous.
Mind-boggling. The amount of 0.1s went from 2nd all the way to 10th. Every single person, bar Longe, did a 0.1 to get through. And then, of course, you had Kiefer, Sipos, Otmir. We can see, actually, now, the Marcel Kiefer not happy at all. And, I mean, he does a 0.2, and he's not through.
Yeah, horrendous lap.
And also, can we also think that Barry Burremand was like, yeah, 0.1, that's me through to Q3, lovely stuff. But then we saw 9.1, Sebastian Job.
Yeah, 0.1 was P11 as well.
Jarno Otmir and Simon Weigang will not be going through.
Yeah, Lucas, this is what I was saying before. Like, Jarno, I know, is really good right here on this game, but
with those two coming through the
if
field.
Lucas can just keep it consistent, if he can get in that top 4 or 5 every time, and Jarno has one good race and one bad qualifying, then that'll be enough.
You know, and obviously he's reigning champion. You can't say he's got weaknesses, but clearly he's got inconsistencies when it comes to qualifying. We know he's strong in the races, but if he, just made things a little bit easier for himself through qualifying, then he'd run away potentially with the championship.
Steph, going to come to you about predictions now, even though I really don't want to, as I've definitely got Otmir and Kiefer in mind. How is it all looking? Yeah,
it's not looking good for any of us. All of us put Otmir down at some point in there. You, Paul, me, Paul, Nick, and James unofficially, you two had him in P2, so
we're all washed up, really, aren't we?
It's not going well.
But I mean, who saw that coming? We were just chatting about.
I think Jan is struggling. I think it's just so close, and any mistake is magnified by like 100.
That's
10th. Another 10th, he would have been.
Well, I guess Q2 to Q3 session we've seen.
Ever seen? It's got to be. And when I was
I'll turn up the sound then a little bit.
David Tanitz's lap, he was actually fastest, like purple through sector 1, and then through sector 2 he lost like a 10th and a bit, and he still ended up on a 1.
Right, so he's got pace.
I feel like if he hooks up sector 2, he'll be really, really quick.
And Barrowman, that was a brave call not sending him back out, I thought,
Yeah.
But it worked.
That was a lot of confidence. Of course, he was clear by a 10th of a second, and he was obviously buzzing with that, but then everybody found time, so you have to leave it to the last second if you want the optimum track conditions.
The problem is if you qualify badly as well, everyone can do the alternate strategy.
And this could be a very, and I haven't used this word yet in this season, spicy end to qualifying in Q3. I lost my graphic from last year, where it was like spicy graphic full screen time or whatever it was, and apparently they don't want to use it this year. Fine, whatever. I'm okay with it.
No,
okay.
No, that's...
Try me, go ahead.
I actually didn't really use it in Q2, and everybody improved. So it was a crazy end to Q2. We might well see the same again in Q3. But Berezne, through the skin of his teeth in Q1, through the skin of his teeth in Q2, that's pretty impressive.
He's through the worst of it, isn't he?
Yeah, Blakely, he just needs to be consistent.
He's got the pace.
He needs to be consistent.
Just
maybe if he can get in top 4 every time, then he can kill.
But you say that Q3, Haddad's maybe a bit of a surprise.
Haddad, yeah, Formula there as well.
Formula and Haddad, I was going to say, you know, quietly put themselves
Haddad's in
top
10 as well.
Q3,
That's
which
good
has
for
been
the
fantastic for them. Now, would you, if you had to guess between Berezne and Otmir, you know, going out, would you have said Otmir to go out instead of Berezne?
No, but you know, as you say, the weakness is that qualifying, maybe consistency for Jarno. China, Silverstone, there's been poles, but at the same time there's been Q2 and Q1 eliminations as well.
Yeah.
Weird, very weird.
Weird stuff. This qualifying session has been really interesting indeed. And David Tanitsa is out there at the moment, going to set one of the first lap times on the board. You'd imagine David's not been able to save any soft tyres. This may well be a worn tyre. Well, I say worn, of course it's not race worn, but he's definitely on old tyres. So this won't set the lights, the timing screens alight, but it's good to see him out there. Yoni Tormler, Brendan Lee, Lucas Blakely all there as well. And I guess when we look at the Q3 participants, we have one Red Bull, one Mercedes, both of those two obviously at the top of the team's championship. But in third, we have both Aston Martins. So there's definitely an opportunity for the Belgian Grand Prix later on this evening for Aston Martin to really bring in a serious haul of points.
Yeah, I think they need to work together. I think Danny Haddad has done a great job, almost you know, playing the team role definitely for Q3 in this race at Spa, because you know, if you look at current
it's not a great lap.
positions in the championship, it looks like, you know, Blakely is the guy that's always in the mix. He doesn't necessarily have anybody to help him out. So maybe we'll see Aston Martin, almost like Red Bull yesterday at Monza, working together, getting some good haul of points.
Yeah, there'll have to be a lot of teamwork, especially with how long that straight is in the first sector around this circuit. Tanitsa to the line. He's going to do a 41.5. That confirms he's on old tyres. Brendan Lee, a little bit deep into the bus stop chicane as well, you'd have to say. Where does he go in comparison to his teammate? It's a 41.7, so yeah, these are all worn tyre runs. Yoni Tormler, 41.6, splits the Ferraris. Who else have we got out there? Danny Berezne's out there. Buraman set the fastest first sector of anybody. Middle sector goes to Moreno. Crucial for Danny Moreno to have made it through to Q3 after Jarno out again, and it's just not quite working out for Jarno. Of course, he had that amazing victory in China after a difficult qualifying performance, James, but you can't constantly be being knocked out in Q2 and expect to win the championship.
No, and he'll know that, you know.
It's mandated from Moreno.
What can he do? He's on the wrong side of a tenth of a second.
Oh, I didn't realise he did.
He won't be panicking as such, but
I mean,
he's very good in the race as well.
I hope his confidence a bit.
It's not ideal. There has to be something he needs to work on, or the team needs to work on. I don't know. I'm surprised that Moreno is out qualifying to the extent he is. Because Moreno, I found, he was strong, but he wasn't. You know, I didn't count him as strong as Jarno in qualifying, but clearly there's
fresh tyres for
an argument to be had there.
Here comes some fresh tyre runs, I believe, because all of these drivers were able to save a set of tyres, and they've all set a point too, but it's Buramand to the front of the field with a 41.240. Then you've got a 2.61 from Longe, a 2.65 from Rasmussen. And as you say, James, it's on the wrong end of half a tenth, and you could be losing 5-6 positions at the end of this Q3 session. How frustrating must that be as a driver to know I've put in a pretty decent lap and I could be starting P8 or 9?
Yeah, and it can be definitely 100% frustrating, because you think, oh, I'm on a good lap here, I'm up, you know, half a tenth. Oh, this is it. It's you know, you could say you've worked so hard to just find half a tenth, and you think you're all of a sudden going to be right up the grid, but actually you're not. And you're still P10, P15 out of Q3. So it's yeah, it's pretty crazy. But that is why that's why they love it. That's why they're so competitive, and that's why they've got to be so inch perfect. And it wouldn't be if it wasn't like that, it wouldn't be F1 Esports, would it?
No, it wouldn't. Beautiful stuff. Buramand is on his in lap at the moment. as he's just set his fastest lap there at the top of the times. We're still waiting for a time from Moreno and Blakely, who are in the pits. They're not bothering with a old set of tyres run, and they're just going to go straight for it at the end of this session. Beresnay will be very, very happy to be in this session, and let's see if he can get in amongst it and continue that record of being on the front row of the grid. He'll have to pull out something very special indeed. Steph?
Yeah, Lucas Blakely hasn't set a lap, but what I want to talk about with Lucas Blakely is I feel like he's one of the only drivers that has been making Q3 consistently. And what you guys were talking about before is his consistency throughout the season. And I feel like consistency is key, as George Russell would say. And so Blakely, I mean, hasn't set a lap yet, so I might be jinxing him a little bit here, but I think he can come out and set the world alight.
Well, let's see him qualify P10 now after that. But no, it is great to see Lucas Blakely, because half the race, at the very least, is now in qualifying, isn't it? Especially with the gaps that we see. If you have a bad qualifying, but you're a great, you've got great racecraft, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, because we saw on board with Jarno Opmer at Silverstone how busy it can get. And you can almost nip a front wing and you get a bit of damage, and that's race done, isn't it? So
completely. And
Lucas sorting his qualifying out is huge.
Yeah, and the thing with Lucas, though, in this situation is he won't have a delta. So he won't know how well the lap is going. And anyone that's raced anything will know a delta in qualifying is quite nice. It gives you a bit of a reference of where you are. You know, say you're a 10th up, but you know you've got 2 tenths at Pouhon. You know that's in hand, whereas if you don't have a delta, you don't know really where you are, and it can make you make mistakes. So,
I mean, there is some drivers that don't really drive to deltas, so it depends. But I know naturally for me.
Are you a delta man?
I'm a delta man. You've got to drive to your delta.
I love a delta as well. It's lovely, isn't it?
It's good. It can be distracting. I know what you mean.
Yeah. You also got to get used to it. Like,
yeah.
I never had one in a real race car, but now I can't be without.
Can't live without it.
Can't live without.
Even in just real life, walking around your house.
Might even
getting 2 cents around that corner.
Might even name it. Might even name it Delilah or something. Make sure Delilah's in there.
I love that. That's amazing. So we've got drivers out there at the moment preparing for the end of this Q3 session, and it is very much. Well, it's going to be an interesting end.
Yeah, some people don't like to go out on tyres because the fresher lap bit changes the way you have to drive. So some people
what do you reckon the pole time's
going
to be, James?
So maybe that's why.
40.9.
I was going to say that, but I'm going to go with 41.
Rasmussen.
I think 40.9.
Yeah. Anything else? Do you want to keep
40.8
like variables in there?
Very, very tough.
40.954. No,
okay. Oh, wow. If that now comes true, that's amazing. What do you reckon, Nick?
Yeah, I reckon let's go 41 dead.
41 dead. Okay, I'm going to go, 41 dead as well. Exactly dead. 0, 0, 0. Here we go. Right then, the laps are underway, at least for David Tanitsa it is. He loves to go first, doesn't he? In that Ferrari. Into turn 1 we go. We will now have to wait, well, he has to wait quite a while until he really has to think again. Eau Rouge and Radeon is pretty much a nothing corner in these cars, isn't it? Especially in qualifying trim. It is completely flat through here. But once we get to the end of this straight, that's when the lap really begins. But then I guess turn 1 is very crucial to get a good exit, because it's a whole long run all the way down to here until you brake at around the 50-metre board. James, take us through what they're thinking around this part of the track.
Well, hopefully not too much. You know, they're in the zone, subconscious, you know, driving within themselves, and that's the best place to be. If they're thinking too much, mistakes will creep in. This sector is so tricky. Lecombe, got to cut all the curbs, make sure you don't get a penalty. Lecombe, make sure you use all the track, and then run on this AstroTurf all the way down to Pouhon, which is strange, but as we talked about earlier, it's necessary. Pouhon just about flat, maybe just a slight confidence lift, and then you go into Piff Path, which is a tricky set of corners in this game because the curbs are very slippy. So you've got to ride the curbs and just modulate the throttle, and then going into Sector 3 is all down to 1 chicane, so it's a bit easier.
Thank you very much for that, James. So right now, sector time-wise, Tanitsa is the fastest of anybody that's gone through there at the moment through the first sector. So this is actually looking like a pretty handy lap from David Tanitsa.
And the middle sector.
Yeah, middle sector, but he's the only one to have gone through there right now, Nick. So we'll wait to see who else goes through there.
Okay,
I know you saw the purple and you were like, hello, he's on a big boy lap.
Go on a good one.
Into the last couple of corners is David Tanitsa. Right now, Brendan Lee, actually. No, Johnny Torman has done an amazing middle sector. David Tanitsa to the 9, already 40.9.
Maybe we might get the 40.8.
That's an enormous lap all of a sudden. Are we going to see David Tanitsa on pole position out of nowhere? Brendan Lee, his teammate now, into the bus stop chicane. He is comparable to his teammate in both of these sectors, maybe around half a tenth back. Let's see where Brendan Lee goes as he comes over the line. 41-1. That may well not keep him on the front row of the grid. Yoni Tormina to the line now, just ahead of Brendan Lee. He will be pretty happy with that. Danny Beresne now, where can he put that McLaren? It's a 41-0, it's P2 for now. That's a pretty good lap from Danny Beresne. Lucas Blakely hasn't set a lap time. We've already said he doesn't have a delta, so we won't know exactly how good this lap is. When I look at his timings, it looks okay, but not particularly amazing. To the line it comes. It's a 41-1. Oh, it's invalidated for Lucas Blakely. And now we come to Danny Moreno. Over the line for P3. Right now it's still David Tanitsa on pole position. But Rasmussen has set an almighty middle sector, as has Longate, so it's not over yet. The Red Bull into the bus stop chicane. Freddie Rasmussen, he won at Silverstone. Can he get onto the front row of the grid here for the Belgian Grand Prix? It's a 40.9, but it's not enough. David Tanitsa on pole, unless Longate can displace him. He does not. It's David Tanitsa on pole position, ahead of Freddie Rasmussen, Barry Buramont and Danny Beresne. P4. What an absolute result.
Good for him.
From, oh, actually, no, it's P. Oh, it is P4, yeah, for Danny Beresne. And so it's a McLaren 3-4. Danny Moreno P5. Lucas Blakely invalidated that last lap. He'll be disappointed with that one. But David Tanitsa, where's that come from? That wasn't in the predictions,
Rasmussen's definitely not out of this championship. If he can keep firing like that,
and he was the first one to come over the line.
You said it in Q2, didn't you? He had a good middle sector.
I did say that. I did say that.
I'm just saying, though, 3 of my 4 are in the top 4.
But were they in the right order?
Well, I don't know.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I don't know, which usually means no.
Crown.
I think I actually got one, maybe. But
I got one.
GG Tanitsa.
Okay, Steph, can you actually tell us?
Matt, I don't think you got any.
Oh, did I not put Rasmussen P2?
Yes, you did.
Okay, so that is one.
Okay. Apparently I can't do maths.
That's fine.
Or simple.
Here we go. This is it then. So, Nick, you got absolutely none, which makes me very happy indeed. Crown isn't gone just yet because I need to score more points because you got 2 last time, so I can see you're not very happy with that one.
I'm not very happy, no.
Steph, you got...
I'm happy for Beresne. They got good position.
Okay, I got 1.
It's good for him.
I reckon I should get half a crown.
It's good for McLaren. That's a good play for McLaren.
Month's event.
Just to show you're half the man.
Yeah. That was a good comment. Well done, Nick. I enjoyed that.
Right.
But what a qualifying session that was.
I'm going to end it there. Thank you very much for watching that watch along with me. I will be back at 7:30 UK time where we're going to watch the Spa race tonight again. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you so much for tuning in. Something very different for me, but I really hope you enjoyed it. And I will catch you at 7:30, which is just under 3 hours time. So see you then. Peace.
We go, but in the middle.